What's up, trumpet players of the internet? I'm here with the great trumpet player Rex Richardson. How are you doing today, man?
Oh, great, man.
Cool. We got a very exciting announcement for you. We are planning a virtual masterclass with Rex leading it himself. We're going to get into all sorts of different fun trumpet stuff. We're going to have a coaching session, Q&A and everything. But Rex has prepared a very topic I'm really interested in personally myself, and you're going to find out why in a second. But I want to hear from you, Rex. What are you planning on uncovering in this masterclass?
Yeah, I want to touch on, broadly speaking, some principles of good practice. I mean, you always hear people talk about this, but to me, it's perpetually interesting because every time I hear anyone talk about practicing, I learn something new. So I figure it's worth maybe offering my perspective as an old guy who's been trying to, figure it out for a long time. And more specifically, I want to get into, for classical musicians, how do you dig into to learning how to be a jazz improviser, because this can often be a really daunting process. So I want to offer some of my experiences because I came from that background. I don't actually have any formal training on the jazz side. I'm classically trained, and pretty early on in my career, I had a sort of a long time wrestling match with figuring out how to play jazz. So hopefully people can learn from my mistakes and have developed their own more efficient process than I had when it comes to learning to be a good jazz improviser.
Cool. Just to kind of give people a sneak peek, what would you say is one of these mistakes that you ran into when you're a classical musician learning jazz and improvisation for the first time?
Broadly speaking, the biggest mistake I made was relying on books too much.
Mm,
I was used to our culture, on the trumpet pedagogy side. I had my Arbenz book, my Clark Technical Studies, and my Charlet and Biche, and the list would go on. And of course, there was a lot of careful listening I was doing and modeling, but the core of my learning was from books. And really, the parallel for jazz musicians is recordings. It's a
mm,
little bit like classical music more broadly. What carries the tradition forward on the classical side is essentially the musical scores, right? We have our Beethoven symphonies, we have Stravinsky's works, etc. And that's those scores that are sort of what create the canon of classical music. Well, for jazz, it's the recordings. And yeah, we have to be able to read the music, and we have to learn to deal with the theory and the harmony and the nuts and bolts of the music. But it was learning to really engage with recordings and learning how to take information from them that proved to be um, the most important thing I had to correct in my approach to learn to become a better jazz musician.
cool, cool. All right, so save the date on your calendar. It will be Saturday, April 27th, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And don't miss out. This is not something you're going to want to miss, especially if you're someone who's more of a classical player and you've always wanted to do jazz and you've never figured out how to do it the right way or never figured it out at all. This is definitely something you're not going to want to miss. I'm looking forward to it myself because I'm that person. I'm a classical trumpet player who's always wanted to learn jazz, but I've never had the bandwidth to figure it out. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Awesome.
All right. See you there.